Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. We begin with breaking news. A California congressman is resigning his seat amid sexual assault allegations. In a statement, Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell said he is deeply sorry to his family, staff, and constituents for mistakes and judgment he's made in the past. He said he would fight for what he calls the serious false allegations against him. Last night, Swalwell announced that he was suspending his campaign for California governor. Today, the House Ethics Committee opened an investigation into the misconduct allegations against him. A former staffer claims Swalwell sexually assaulted her in 2024. Since then, several other women have also come forward. 50 former staffers had called on Swalwell to resign his congressional seat. California Republican Party leaders failed to endorse a candidate for governor at their convention in San Diego this weekend. KPBS Public Matters reporter Jerry Goss says the GOP is working to take down Democratic candidates with competing messaging on affordability and cost of living.
At the Sheraton Hotel on the San Diego waterfront, Republican Party leaders, organizers, and candidates shared their vision for taking power from Democrats statewide. On Saturday, Chairwoman Corin Rankin opened a candidate forum with a video message that promised to address the state's high cost of living.
That means building more homes, reducing costly regulations, stabilizing insurance, and lowering energy and transportation costs.
Affordability is top of mind for many Californians as the war in Iran spikes inflation and the price of gas. But speakers at the convention aren't blaming President Trump. In fact, candidate for governor Steve Hilton, who was recently endorsed by the president, said the way to address affordability issues was through Trump's agenda.
Working with the president and his team, we will make sure the water is flowing to our farmers, the oil is flowing to our refineries, the forests are managed and the timber is heading to our builders to build the single-family homes, to restore the California dream.
And unlike in 2024, when mass deportations were central to Trump's campaign, there was little mention of immigration at the convention. But Sheriff Chad Bianco, who was also running for governor, did tout his record as a law enforcement leader.
For the past 33 years, I have strapped on a gun and a badge and spent every day serving California residents, making our lives better and safer.
Neither candidate for governor was endorsed by the state party this weekend, but that election still has no clear frontrunner, and Eric Swalwell, a leading candidate on the Democratic side, suspended his campaign this week after numerous allegations of sexual assault were made public. California hasn't had a Republican governor in more than a decade. The overall message from the convention was that Democrats are to blame for the state's problems, and it's time for a change. Jake Gatta, KPBS News.
State and local leaders gathered in front of the San Diego Civic Theater today to announce legislation to revive California's dying downtowns with housing. KPBS reporter Alexander Wynn says the bill focuses on building more affordable, denser housing in cities or urban centers.
Walking through some parts of downtown San Diego, and you see boarded up windows and graffiti on buildings where there were once vibrant shops.
Office vacancy is still up. Foot traffic is down.
San Francisco Assembly member Matt Haney says the pandemic drastically changed downtowns because of remote work. He says the office vacancy rate in some cities now exceeds 30%. In San Diego, it's around 33%, according to brokerage firm Marcus & Millichap. Haney has introduced a bill, AB 2074, to revitalize the urban cores in major cities across the state, including San Diego, by building more housing.
Downtowns are actually some of the best places to build housing. There's transit, there's jobs, there's restaurants, there's arts and culture, there's public spaces. Everything that people need is already here.
The bill would streamline the approval process for projects for building high-rise, affordable housing and mixed-use developments near downtown transit hubs. Haney chose San Diego to announce the bill because he says the city has been doing many of the things the bill seeks to do.
As you look around, literally every direction, you can see brand new housing that is popping up.
San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria says the more people who live downtown, the more retail storefronts will pop up and, along with them, more jobs.
I don't think it's an accident that on the other side of this building, we have 3 towers going in, nearly 1,000 units, and with them is coming a grocery store for this corner of downtown that has never had one before. So these are connected matters.
The mayor says there's plenty of housing on the west end of downtown. The hope is that this bill would spur development on the east end and also here on C Street.
While downtown, I think, is right to be held up as a good example, we do have places where we need a lot more focus and attention, and I think specifically the C Street corridor would be one.
The bill would also create a $500 million revolving fund, offering low-interest loans that developers could tap to get their projects across the finish line. It is supported by the State Building and Construction Trades Council of California, California YIMBY, and the San Diego Building Construction Trades Council. Carol Kim is the Trades Council business manager.
There's no single silver bullet to our housing challenges, but attacking the problem from multiple angles, this will be a critical step to putting housing in reach for all California workers.
The bill was passed out of the California Assembly Housing Committee last week. The hope is that it will reach the floor for a vote by the end of May and the governor's desk by the end of the year. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Coming up tonight, temperatures dropping to the 50s under a partly cloudy sky. We're going to see the winds still a little bit gusty as we head into the day tomorrow, and a slight decrease in temperatures by the end of the week before a weekend warm-up. All the details are right ahead.
President Trump says the U.S. military has begun a blockade of Iranian ports. It comes after peace talks between the U.S. and Iran ended yesterday without an agreement. Lee Waldman has more, including the war's toll on the economy.
After failing to reach a deal for peace, President Donald Trump has ordered the U.S. Navy to begin blockading Iranian port traffic.
It would be a considerable operation requiring a lot of surveillance, as well as, of course, the physical presence of several destroyers and probably an aircraft carrier, maybe 2.
In a post on Truth Social, President Donald Trump touted the defeat of the Iranian Navy, but warned that any fast attack ships that come close to the blockade would be immediately eliminated.
Unfortunately, the mentality of the leadership in Iran is hardening.
Iran's acting defense minister said the country is preparing for any scenario, and any aggression would result in a harsh and decisive response, according to remarks broadcast on Iran's state-run television.
Iran has said this blockade violates the ceasefire, but it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to start shooting.
Iran has been allowing some tankers through in recent days, while reportedly charging a hefty toll of up to $2 million. In the U.S., stock markets fell and oil prices topped $100 a barrel on Sunday as the blockade and failed peace talks are set to further disrupt the global economy. A gallon of gas in the U.S. cost $4.12 on average Sunday, up 38% from the start of the war, despite declining slightly over the weekend. Lee Waldman, KPBS News.
For the 5th day in a row, gas prices have dropped in San Diego County. The average price has dropped 5.8 cents over the past 5 consecutive days. That's the longest streak since a 12-day run in December. Today it cost $5.91 on average for a gallon of regular gas. It's about 5 cents less than a week ago, but 46.5 cents more than 1 month ago.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the News Hour, the U.S. blockades the Strait of Hormuz. The global implications coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
The smell and air pollution stemming from sewage in the Tijuana River Valley is becoming unbearable to South Bay residents. Hydrogen sulfide levels are reaching new highs. According to UC San Diego, measurements are at levels that we haven't seen in 2 years. One Imperial Beach resident told our media partner KGTV the symptoms she's experiencing are pushing her out of her home completely.
We have a beautiful home with my family's over there. We can't go back because it's so toxic. I literally want to cry. I want to go back and I can't.
I've never had so many people in the community essentially begging for help. It's really, really a very sad and troubling situation that has to end.
And UC San Diego Dr. Kimberly Prather says hydrogen sulfide is just one of thousands of gases that they detected that's harmful. County Supervisor Paloma Aguirre shared the overnight readings on social media. It is the first time these levels were higher than state safety standards for an entire night. The San Diego County Water Authority recently signed a new agreement to sell water to Riverside County. As Voice of San Diego Scott Lewis explains for our latest Why It Matters segment, it's the latest balancing act of high rates and securing a vital resource.
Two water districts in northern San Diego County, the Rainbow Municipal Water District and the Fallbrook Public Utility District, left the San Diego County Water Authority about 3 years ago. Their leaders said that those water rates were just too high. The two agencies serve largely farming communities, and they decided to switch to the Riverside County-based Eastern Municipal Water District. Now, ironically, almost 3 years later, the Eastern District has agreed to buy water from the San Diego County Water Authority. It's the second sale of its kind in the last month. San Diegans pay some of the highest water rates in the country, as we've previously reported, and that investment has actually bought access to excess water. San Diego will be giving 10,000 acre-feet of water to Riverside County every year for the next 21 years. That's about as much water as 25,000 households would use each year. In exchange, the Water Authority will get about $14 million per year. With other upfront payments, the Water Authority will collect about $74 million in the first 5 years of the deal. The Water Authority is also looking to sell to agencies even farther away, perhaps Arizona, but going out of state will require a lot more work. The water sales are supposed to ease the burden of future rate increases on San Diegans. All of those things that we bought, the desalination plant in Carlsbad and the water we bought from the Imperial County, are still not paid for, and bills will have to go up to do that. But this should have an impact on how much, if at all, those bills rise in the future. For Voice San Diego, I'm Scott Lewis, and that's why it matters.
Voice of San Diego is one of our partners for the Public Matters Initiative. You can learn more at kpbs.org/publicmatters. It's an essential part of a healthy diet, but fiber hasn't always gotten the recognition that it deserves. But experts say that's beginning to change. Mandy Gaither explains why one dietitian is calling fiber the IT nutrient of the year.
It's primarily found in plant-based foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. Fiber is known to aid digestion, but it also has a host of other benefits.
Fiber provides prebiotics, and prebiotics feed the good gut bacteria in our stomach to help them grow and flourish.
Julia Zumpano with Cleveland Clinic says gut health is more important now than ever, and fiber is a key component of that, which is why she calls it the IT nutrient of the year. But if you're going to increase your fiber intake, take it slow to avoid stomach distress. Begin by being mindful about how many plant-based foods you're eating in a day.
We usually say try to include 1 to 2 fiber-rich foods with each meal.
For breakfast, Zumpano says that could include Greek yogurt with berries topped with nuts and flaxseed, or some eggs with veggies scrambled in. She says a fiber-rich lunch could include a salad or a veggie soup. And dinner is some sort of protein with a whole grain and whatever veggie side you enjoy. There are fiber supplements that can provide some benefit as well, but Zumpano says it's best to get the nutrient through your diet if possible, because fiber-rich foods can help keep you full, slow down the rate of glucose absorption in the bloodstream, and help to manage weight and cholesterol.
There's so many other benefits of fiber, so if you're consistently aiming to meet your fiber needs through your diet, you're only going to maximize those benefits.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Conversations about death are moving into more social settings. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco says one local group is making them less intimidating by hosting them at a bar.
It looks like a typical night out at Poseidon Project.
Drinks are poured at the Bay Park pub. Conversations flow. But the topic here is anything but typical.
Raise your hand if you know what medical aid in dying is.
About 50 people pack in for an event called Death Over Drafts. It's a modern twist on traditional death cafes.
Because the first question that we get when we see people in our life is, what? That's legal in California?
Krista Folkers is with Autonomy Health. It's a medical practice that helps patients navigate end-of-life decisions. They're hosting the event. She says the goal is to normalize talking about death and dying by discussing an uncomfortable topic in a more comfortable setting with drinks.
People who might be a little bit intimidated about going to something that is at a community center and are more comfortable in a casual bar atmosphere.
Including a younger crowd.
And we knew that by offering an event that was at a bar with alcohol might appeal to the younger generation who really seems more curious than they ever have.
That curiosity is what drew in Paul Amons.
So I believe there's more people in my generation that are finding interest in these conversations, but coming to places like a brewery where we might hang out, it just makes the conversation easier and more approachable.
He's only 26, but he says his interest comes from how rarely these conversations happen in his everyday life.
It's often trapped in places like mortuaries or churches, mosques, temples, religious institutions.
He would like to take the conversations out of the pub and into his life.
I would love to take part in those conversations with people my age, people like my parents who are not having these conversations, and see what does it mean to take control of our death and so much as we can.
Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
If you or someone you know needs help, contact the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting the number 988. The excitement around space exploration doesn't have to end with the return of the Artemis II crew. It's International Dark Sky Week. KPBS environment reporter Tammy Murga says there are a handful of stargazing events planned throughout San Diego County.
About 10 miles northeast of downtown San Diego, you can find a surprisingly dark urban place to stargaze in Mission Trails Regional Park. The park is shielded from city lights by its vast mountain range.
We do love that here at the park, through the star parties that we have twice a month, that people can just, within 10 minutes be in an area that is almost completely dark, where they can do stargazing with experts in that area.
This Friday night, Mission Trails Regional Park is hosting a star party. It's part of International Dark Sky Week. Dark Sky San Diego County has partnered with several organizations to host stargazing events through April 18th. Eddie Lane is with the group. He says the week-long celebration is a time to spend outdoors under the stars.
When people come out and engage and see the sky at night, sometimes for the very first time with that amount of stars and or with a telescope, the awe and recognizing how precious of a resource that we have up there to be able to look at that beautiful view and that we need to preserve it.
Lane says reducing light pollution has many benefits.
It's not just about the aesthetics of lighting. Although it is nice for us humans just to be able to look up and enjoy the view of the stars, there's a lot of animals that use it for migration. For thousands of years, humans have used it for navigation, and then today, most of the time, for appreciation and admiration.
For a roundup of stargazing events happening this week, visit kpbs.org. Tammy Murga, KPBS News.
Breaking down headlines for you here as we continue through this evening and head into the day tomorrow. Those showers begin to taper, but the winds will still be rather gusty at times. 20, 25 miles per hour with some gusts stronger into the 30 mile per hour range. And then as we look ahead through the rest of the week, we'll dry out, but temperatures start to come down a little bit, especially later into the week before they jump right back up as we head into the upcoming weekend. Tonight is comfortably cool for many of us. I mean, we're 50 at Oceanside. A chillier night there, 58 in San Diego, down to 54 tonight in Chula Vista. Woo! How about below freezing temperatures in Mount Laguna at 29 degrees, and even Borrego Springs down to 46. So you can see this storm has been a colder one here. Some rain and snow showers take over across Utah and Colorado through the day tomorrow, and then our weather really starts to shape up and be quite nice through the day tomorrow. So outdoor plans, travel, all should be good to go. When we look ahead to temperatures, we are sunny and we're in the 70s for many of our locations here along the coast, inland. And then as we look towards Mount Laguna, we'll only get to 50 degrees for tomorrow and 79 with sunshine for Borrego Springs. All right, by the middle of the week, our weather still stays dry, but you go further north here, northern parts of California, the Pacific Northwest. That's where the next storm will start to bring rain and even some of that mountain snow as we head into the middle of the week. All right, 5-day outlook for the coast. Temperatures into the lower 70s for much of the week before a weekend warm up. Sunny and 75 on Saturday. How about that? All right, you can see how temperatures kind of bottom out on Thursday, further inland with clouds increasing at 70 degrees, but then we're right back to the 80s by Saturday. Heading towards the mountain forecast here. It's a cold start to the week. Temperatures come up a little bit Wednesday before dipping and the wind picking up on Thursday and a high of only 45 with sunshine on Friday, but a big rebound by Saturday. Into the desert we go, where temperatures will turn a bit cooler on Friday to the 70s, but upper 80s by Saturday. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
There's a community in San Diego County where a particular artist is honored for his creativity and imaginative spirit. And as Ken Kramer shows us, to understand why, you have to go back more than 60 years.
This is the story about a young man named Jerry, and in the late 1950s, early 60s, Jerry lived in Bonita.
Jerry is still loved and admired and honored by this community.
Want to know why? Okay, first, I want to show you some video of what was back then a roadside attraction in Alpine. Didn't last very long. It was an amusement park. If you're old enough, you might remember it was called Dinosaur Land. You could look at, even crawl around on replicas of prehistoric animals. And working at Dinosaur Land, there was Jerry. Jerry Goss, a teenager who had a talent for curating these dinosaurs, even made a couple of them move. He knew how to do that.
Well, we know that he had a love of art and a love of sculpture.
And it is for that he is revered in Bonita to this day. Vanessa Chica says Jerry's story so captured her, she studied him, written about him, learned how in the 1950s, this then 15-year-old student at Hilltop High started creating some things out of rebar, chicken wire, and cement in his front yard over on Valley Road.
Yes, in his imagination, and then he started sculpturing them.
Glarfs, he called them, G-L-A-R-F. Glarfs, just a name he made up. As he built a couple of them and then more, everybody noticed.
He didn't just create these glarfs and put them in the garage. He had them right out there on what would be known as Dinosaur Hill.
His glarfs were a landmark in Bonita, something the town knew about and celebrated because they were a little quirky. Jerry Goss was becoming really well known for his imagination and creativity, and then
there was an accident, and that's all that's told, is there was an accident, and a traffic accident.
Jerry Goss died. His devastated family, his mom, they remained at the house with the glarfs outside for a while. Then with time, she moved. Jerry's creations were taken away and lost for 28 years. And that might be where the story ends. But look, is that? Yes, it is. A couple of glarfs. But they were lost. What happened? A Chula Vista police lieutenant from Bonita spotted them while on patrol. It turns out a family member had them, agreed to a relocation to here in front of Bonita Center on Bonita Road. A local artist became involved. The Bonita community got behind it. It was really something.
And then they were restored, and that's what you see today is the restoration of the glarfs that Jerry created.
For those of a later generation driving by, maybe noticing, or to the passerby curious enough to stop and wonder, that is what they are and how they came to be where they are. And as for Vanessa Chica?
Well, I decided to write a story about the glarfs and about Jerry. Just tell his story.
And a coloring book, too. In English and Spanish, she says her book is about the glarfs who lost their friend Jerry, but still have a connection, even though he's passed.
The love is still there. And that's what I wanted to write about.
She says anything that comes from their sale goes back into the community's annual Bonita Fest. There are Glarf t-shirts that benefit the Bonita Museum and Cultural Center. Seems like the Glarfs have become a kind of unofficial logo of Bonita. Even at Glen Abbey Memorial Park, if you know where to look, there is a grave and a marker honoring Jerry Lee Goss and his Glarfs.
Jerry Lee Goss, the greatest boy in the world.
So many decades later, I wonder what would he think of the legacy he left behind, the affection Vanessa Chica and the Bonita community feel for him even yet.
I love this one. It's got polka dots.
I think he'd especially enjoy the reactions of people seeing them for the first time. How curious and strange they are, and the questions. What are they? Who did that? In his memory, and by all means, do tell them this story about San Diego.
And if you want to see more of Ken Kramer's stories, his half-hour episodes about San Diego can be seen every Thursday evening at 8 o'clock right here on KPBS. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom on NPR's Morning Edition. Americans with ties to Iran open up about the challenges and tensions around the fragile ceasefire. And time is running out to file your taxes by the April 15th deadline. KPBS Midday Edition is talking to an expert for advice on getting the most out of your refund. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. By the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.